So hopefully you were able to catch my video from earlier this week where I talk about the 3 biggest updates to the iPhone 15 Pro Max that makes the iPhone 15 Pro Max Apple's best iPhone to date. And then hopefully after that video you were convinced enough to go pick up an iPhone 15 Pro Max and upgrade from what you currently have. And what I want to do in this video is talk about the 11 accessories that I use to really maximize my experience with my iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now some of these accessories will work with older iPhone models, so I'll be sure to let you guys know. But without further ado, let's get into these iPhone accessories, and I will link down everything in the description down below for you guys to check out. Let's get into it. So let's get this video started with cases. Now, I don't know about you guys, and leave a comment down below if you are team case or no case, and I will leave timestamps if you are team no case to kind of fast forward from this part. But when I'm at home, I'm usually team no case because I have a carpeted floor in my office and I don't really have to worry about my phone dropping and cracking. But when I am out in the wild and I am out in New York City and things like that, I do make sure to slap a case onto my iPhone because last thing I want is to drop it and have it crack. Now I do want to highlight 3 different cases in this video, and they're all relatively the same in terms of protection standpoint. Like none of them are very rugged and super robust, but none of them are also ultra thin that don't protect anything at all. They're kind of in that sweet middle ground where most cases fall, where if it does drop from your hip or a little bit higher, it will protect the iPhone, especially also if you have a screen protector on your iPhone. But the 3 cases are the A15 by Aulumu, the classic C1 by Spigen, and then also the Aspen by Andar. Now each one of these I like for different reasons, but to give you guys my high-level overview, the A15 by Aulumu is a vegan leather case that I like for its design and aesthetic for the most part, right? It's got this nice little grill on the back of it, which it does say it's for cooling, but at the end of the day, it's really more so for look. There is a pass-through for it, so you can technically see through it, and maybe it does disperse some sort of heat. But obviously there are no fans in this case or anything like that, but it does the job very well. Like I mentioned, it is a vegan leather case. It comes in a few different colorways, but I prefer the Stormtrooper look where it's mostly white. It has a couple of metal accents, and then it does have a lot of black accents for the buttons, as well as the actual action button and the camera bump itself. So this is a very well-rounded case. It protects your phone very well. I've been using it for months on end, and it was probably the most that I used a case in the very beginning because I just loved the way that it looked. And the Magsafe magnets are extremely powerful. So that is the case, the A15 by Aulumu. Definitely check it out. And this is probably the cheapest one that we have at around $50, and I do have discount codes down below for corresponding iPhone cases if you guys do want to check those out. Now the next one is for you genuine leather lovers and actual premium leather. If you guys like the smell of real leather, then this is going to be the way to go, which I absolutely love. So this is the Aspen by a company called Andar. I've been using them for years now at this point. I have their Magsafe wallet as well, which we'll touch on in a little bit, but this is their stone gray colorway, which I really love. I've been switching between the stone gray and the technically red one, which is a really nice and deep red. But at the end of the day, if you do love genuine leather, this one is extremely well built. It smells amazing. It has great clicky buttons. It does cover the action button extremely well. The volume rocker is there. You do have additional Magsafe magnets, so you are able to add some Magsafe accessories with stronger magnet holds, and it has a nice microfiber lining to protect the back of your iPhone. So that is by Andar if you guys want to check that one out. And if you guys have a little bit of a nostalgia gene in you like myself, then you're definitely going to want to pick up the classic C1 by Spigen. This one brings over the kind of aesthetic and the look and feel of those see-through shell and colorful Macs that we saw in 1999, where I think a lot of elementary schools and middle schools ended up picking it up. And it was Steve Jobs' kind of welcome back and claim to fame when he did come back to Apple to kind of reinvigorate the company. So if you guys love that look and kind of have a nostalgic little gene in you that you want to test out, this one is by Spigen. It's a C1, and I love the aesthetic of this. And I would say it's probably the most protective out of the 3 that I mentioned, just by a little bit, because it is a little bit thicker, a little bit more robust, but I wouldn't call it like a rugged case or anything like that. It's a little bit more drop protection in my opinion compared to the other 2, but they're all great for just normal wear and tear and normal day-to-day use with your iPhone. And then as I mentioned in my last video, to kind of segue into USB-C, USB-C on the new iPhone 15 Pro Max and the iPhone 15 Pro, it is the best feature on an iPhone in a very long time in my opinion, because yes, we've seen upgrades and incremental updates to the iPhones over time, and yes, they're nice to talk about, and yes, they're nice to use day to day, but the USB-C port fundamentally changed how I use the iPhone, and it kind of improved my workflow overall, and it was a real tangible upgrade that we haven't seen in a long time. So in my past video, I do talk about USB-C and how I use it and what my workflow looks like with the iPhone, but I do want to highlight 2 USB-C accessories that I use pretty much on a daily basis with my iPhone. The first one has to be the new Tuff Nano by Caldigit. It's a 2TB SSD. I believe it's technically their Tuff Nano Plus because they do have a 1TB version. And again, by the name of it, it is a rugged SSD and it's built to last. It's built to handle drops. It has a nice little protective lining on it as well. It is a USB-C enabled SSD that I plug into my iPhone on a daily basis to offload footage from my iPhone onto this SSD. Now it does support up to 10 gigabytes of transfer speeds, which is absolutely amazing. It brings both a USB-C to USB-C cable as well as that coveted USB-C to USB-A cable, cable, which still allows for that 10 gigabit transfer speed. So what I do is I plug it in my iPhone, offload footage, and then I plug this SSD to my iPad and then start editing right away whenever I want to and whenever I need to. And then the next accessory that I have is, yes, USB-C allows you to have a dongle, or it allows you to have maybe an 8-in-1 or a 10-in-1 or a 12-in-1 USB-C dock or USB-C dongle onto your iPhone itself. And the one that I love using is by a company called Dockcase. This is our 8-in-1 USB-C dongle, and what I really love about it is, yes, it works exactly how it's intended. You do have your PD port, which supports up to 65 watt fast charging, HDMI port. You do have a fast USB-A port, which is nice to have in there. You have an Ethernet cable, which supports up to 1 gigabyte per second on the Ethernet side. You have an additional USB-A port as well, and then a USB-C port, which is still 3.2 Gen 2. So from a speed standpoint, it's got you covered, which is awesome to see. So on top of that, it does have a nice kind of diagnostic screen. It is a 1-inch by 1-inch IPS panel, which allows you to view all the diagnostics in real time. So for instance, if I want to see how fast my footage is being transferred out, or how fast my wired internet is, or anything like that, I plug this into my iPhone, and then I plug my SSD to this, and then you get to see in real time what it's doing. And same thing goes when it's plugged into an external monitor. You get to see what kind of monitor you're using. Is it 144 Hertz? Is it 60 Hertz? Is it 4K? Is it 1080p? This diagnostic screen really brings out like the inner nerd in me, which I absolutely love. And then when it comes to some Magsafe accessories, I'm going to keep it simple here. I have 2 Magsafe accessories that I do want to bring up because I've tested so many Magsafe wallets and so many Magsafe batteries and 2-in-1s and 3-in-1s and multifunctional ones and everything in between. And this is kind of what I've landed. So from an external Magsafe battery perspective, I use the M03 by Aulumu, which is the same company that made that A15 case. And this is a 3,500 milliamp hour battery. It charges via USB-C. You connect via Magsafe. You can pretty much charge your iPhone 15 Pro Max all the way through almost. If you're using your iPhone while you're using the Magsafe battery, you won't get full battery, but maybe you'll get 70% extra, which is more than enough to give you an intense full day's use out of this thing, which is awesome to see. And then on top of that, it does have a nice metal kickstand. So it is multifunctional because it does let you use your iPhone propped up in multiple stand modes like portrait mode, landscape mode, and TV mode, which is great to see. So it is multifunctional and gives you some extra battery. And the aesthetic, again, follows that Aulumu aesthetic, which is kind of like this minimalistic, retro, kind of cyberpunky look, which I absolutely love. I do wish there was a battery widget that somehow third parties can kind of tap into, but for now there is just battery light indicators on the back of it in this nice little like wire format, which is cool to see. And then from a wallet standpoint, like I mentioned, I've tested a bunch of Magsafe wallets, and the one that I've landed on is by Andar, their Mag wallet, which matches perfectly with the Aspen stone gray case that I use on my iPhone as well. And this fits up to 3 cards, maybe 4 cards if they aren't those metal cards. I like to keep it at 3 cards. I usually have my ID and 2 different credit cards in there, or my ID, my Tesla card, and then a credit card, depending on what situation I'm in. But I've kind of learned that with wallets, the simpler the better, because most of my cards are just in my Apple Wallet already, so I really don't need anything aside from my ID, which hopefully eventually I won't need at all, at least not physically. And then 1 credit card for emergency use, and sometimes a debit card, or just 1 other auxiliary card that I need to bring with me for that day. So those are the 2 Magsafe accessories. I have my multifunctional battery, which is great to have, and then my Magsafe wallet, which is the Mag. And then from a power standpoint, there's just a couple of accessories that I want to bring up. First has to be Nomad's 65 watt power brick, which is just a normal 65 watt power brick. It is smart enabled, so basically you have 2 ports, one that can charge you at a full 65 watts. The second port still supports PD charging for both your iPhone and your iPad, and it'll divvy it up correctly if you do have 2 things plugged in. And again, that's the beauty of USB-C all things now. So with the new iPhones having USB-C, I just need 1 cable to charge all of my iDevices, which is beautiful to see. But what I mostly use that power brick for is to plug into my X55 3-in-1 travel charger, which I bring with me everywhere I go, whether I'm gone for a day, a couple hours, if I'm gone for multiple days on a trip. This is the travel charger that I bring with me because it charges all 3 of my main devices. It's only $40. It charges everything at the correct speeds, which I absolutely love. It brings a carrying case, it brings a cable, it brings a 30 watt power brick in the purchase, and it's just so malleable, and just for this price, there's nothing better. The price performance ratio on the X55, I've recommended this product a bunch over the last couple months because I'm just so happy with it. It doesn't overheat, it charges my big 3, and I've had 0 issues with it. And again, you just get so much for the value that I keep recommending it. And then the last fun one that I like to have in here is a ProtoArc keyboard, which is a foldable keyboard, portable keyboard that's only $40, and it's a chiclet style keyboard. It folds nice and compact, so it can fit pretty much in your back pocket if you really want it to. It fits in any travel bag, a little sling if you need it to. And this is perfect when it comes to a combination of maybe having the Magsafe battery pack that I mentioned from Aulumu with the stand, and you connect this Bluetooth keyboard to your iPhone, and you have a nice little like writing station that you can bring to a coffee shop or something like that. And it just kind of gives me an eye-opening into the future of what it could be if Apple gives us some sort of like Samsung DeX competitor now that we have USB-C on the iPhones and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So that is the keyboard that I bring with me if I do need a travel keyboard, because the key travel is great. It's very robust. It's honestly, I thought it was going to be a little bit gimmicky and kind of break down over time, but I've had it for almost a year now and I use it pretty often. And even with the hinges and stuff, This still works perfectly fine. Once you open it up, it immediately connects. When you close it, it goes into standby mode. The battery lasts forever. This is a great gift for somebody or for yourself, or if you just need a $40 travel keyboard that I definitely recommend checking out. So those are the accessories that I pretty much bring with me at all times, or I'm using with my iPhone very frequently, and I like to hop in and out of cases whenever I see fit. I don't really like the ones that are super rugged. I've kind of started to stay away from the ultra thin ones just because if I'm going to go ultra thin, I might as well just have no case. So having that middle ground of these cases and being able to kind of change aesthetics whenever I please is a great thing to have. And then also all the other accessories like I mentioned for power and for data transfer. USB-C on the iPhone has really transformed how I use the iPhone, and I'm just hoping Apple continues to iterate and doesn't just forget about the USB-C port because it is extremely powerful and Apple can definitely take advantage of it. But that's going to do it for this video, everybody. Like I mentioned in the very beginning, everything is linked down below with discount codes if you guys want to try them out. If you guys have some other accessories that you guys want to mention, link them down below and I'll definitely check them out. Maybe I'll add them in like a part 2, maybe a couple months later, because we have had the iPhone for about half the year now. So maybe 9 months later, we can kind of try out some other accessories with the iPhone, which I'm happy to do. But that's going to do it for this video. If you made it to the end, leave a dolphin in the comments down below so I know you made it to the end. And if you guys want to watch some more iPhone videos, iOS videos, iPadOS videos, click on one of these right here. And until next time, I'm Fernando, and I'm out of here, everybody. Peace.